this meeting is something that will be very, very, very helpful to us as people that have been handling kids and as volunteers of Kiddiesdom. I say once again, welcome. My name is Atuchinosu John Paul, and I am the Deputy Coordinator of FTLOC. And once again, I say welcome to you all. In a very special way, we want to welcome our our facilitator for this program. She's already here waiting for us.
Good evening, everyone. Dr. Chimdi is our facilitator, and I would introduce her in due time. For most of us here, we know ourselves. We're part of the volunteer community. The introduction and stating what we hope to learn is for the benefit of our guests. And the two guests we have in our midst, if I'm correct right now, is Grace and Dr. Chimdi. Before I go ahead, just a bit about Kiddiesdom. So Kiddiesdom is an organization that was created to protect children from physical harm, psychological harm, and emotional harm, so their entire being. And we do that by providing and educating children themselves on child safety and how to protect themselves as much as possible within their capacity from harm. And at the same time, we educate parents, child caregivers, anyone that is interested or in interaction with children on how to create safe spaces for children in their care or children within their space. And that is what Kiddiesdom is all about. We do that by, as I had mentioned, reaching out to children or targeting families, because families are the primary unit and parents are the primary care providers for children, and also targeting schools. So children spend a chunk of their time in schools. So helping schools to create safe spaces so children attending those schools would also be free or protected from harm. You would hear some of the volunteers say that they are volunteering for the love of children. And that is because For the Love of Children is one of our flagship programs. It's one of our flagship programs that we organize every February every year in Enugu, where we also really focus on providing or educating parents, child caregivers, nannies, again, any adult that take care of children on how to provide safe spaces. But this time we're really focusing on critical child safety issues that are contemporary or happening in the society at a point in time. And we've covered topics like inclusion, school safety, fire safety, child sexual abuse, nutrition, and we're already planning for next year. So it's a pleasure really to have everyone here. I believe that being on this call means in some way or another we're interested about child welfare, child protection, and we are looking to learn from one of the best in the field today. Benedicta, who is our volunteers coordinator, was meant to be the moderator for this session. But as we are having it, technology is not the best of friends this evening. So we're going to really work around it. I would moderate as much as possible till she sort of settles or sorts herself out. Before we move on, I would like to, okay, Benedicta, can you hear me? Okay, before I hand over to Benedicta, I would love to introduce Dr. Chimdi so we know who it is that is speaking to us today, what she's all about, and why it's indeed a pleasure and an honor to have her, give us her time this evening. And the reason we're having this session is just because for the volunteers community, we want a situation where we're actually developing our skills, growing in personal development, and also just making sure that the volunteer community is beneficial both to the volunteers and to Kiddiesdom. And if indeed we are better advocates out there, that means the result is we are creating a society both within our space, beyond our spaces, on societies that would actually be safer for the children. We can hear everything that's happening around us right now, and that would mean that sometime in the future, even now, we're holding spaces, or we're going to hold spaces where we're in positions to make decisions, legislations, create acts that would either be for our children or be against them. So we're hoping that this is going to inspire us to be better. About Dr. Chimdi. So Dr. Chimdi Peace Ugwuanyi is a medical doctor. She's a researcher, and she's greatly passionate about child and adolescent health. She is currently a second year MPH program. She's currently, sorry about that, she's currently a second year public health program student at Vanderbilt University with a concentration in global health. In 2019, she founded Speak Out for Children Development Initiative, an organization dedicated to preventing and protecting children from being sexually abused. And together with her team, they have reached over 17 countries. She has received several awards and is a member of prestigious fellowships. Her works have been recognized as one of the 60 young global changemakers in 2019. Her works have been featured severally on BBC Biz 100 Experts and in other media in Nigeria. Recently, she was awarded the 2025 Margaret McNamara Grant and the 2025 Dr. Levi Watkins Jr. Award, recognizing her commitment to mentorship. So please, if you're excited that we have someone passionate and quite accomplished in this field, can we please give her a round of applause? And thank you very much, Chimdi, for joining us. Chimdi, as I mentioned, I will go ahead with the questions, right? And hopefully, if Benedicta comes ahead, she's going to take over. But before I go ahead, we mentioned the awards that you had received this year. So please just tell us, I read about you, but just tell us a bit more about yourself, what the awards are, and then we can take it from there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ife. I'm grateful. I'm excited to be here. I don't think I'm a visitor to Kiddiesdom. I have worked with Kiddiesdom for, I'll say 2 years now. Spoke for the first time in 2023, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Yeah. And we've kept in touch since then. And I'm very excited for the work you do. So very grateful to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm Chimdi, you all know. I'm a medical doctor. Got my medical degree in Ukraine, moved back to Nigeria, worked for some time. We've had this organization, Speak Out for Children, since 2019. And I'm absolutely passionate about children and seeing them wholesome in every way. One of the areas that we've been focusing on for the past 5 years is preventing child sexual abuse in sub-Saharan Africa. And we're expanding beyond sub-Saharan Africa now. So that's really exciting to see the little change we can make in the life of individuals, equipping adults who are the people that should protect children, and also seeing how children can also protect themselves as much as they can in their abilities. And that has been beautiful. So before we go into other things, I will just say, so the awards, like you said, I don't know how to explain what you mean by the awards, but I would say that
what they are about, like the
cool.
background behind that.
Okay, amazing. So the 2025 Margaret McNamara scholarship grant is a grant that is given to women that are in US or Canada, basically to support the work they do. Um, they you apply, they see the work you do, they are literally appreciating you and encouraging you, especially if you're a student doing your master's program or a PhD program. And they try to vet the work you do, support you, and you also have the support of these well-accomplished women who support you. So they work in the UN, they work in different places. So they just see young people that are doing different things. As long as it's pertaining to women and children, they would want to support you and, give you that hand, and mentor you as well while you achieve the things you're doing. So that's for Margaret McNamara Grant. And then for David, Dr. Watkins Award, Dr. Watkins was the first Black doctor to go to Vanderbilt University. And he was also one of the Black doctors who was very particular about mentoring people. So because he paved way, Vanderbilt is a school in the southern part of the United States, which is mostly dominated by white people. So him going to a medical university that was dominated by white people was something really significant. And he paved way for other Black people. So he opened the door for Black people or Black doctors to strive for more. He also was the first person to discover a medication that is used for cardiology care in the United States. So the award was to encourage you if you've been doing work in mentorship and passing the baton to other people in your field. So for the work that I do in encouraging other young doctors coming after me, that was what the recognition was for. So yeah, thank you so much for that.
Thank you for sharing. So we're here, you heard two things. Mostly, we want to learn more about protecting children and we want to learn about positioning ourselves. So I'll start with asking, what exactly is child sexual abuse? As advocates, as individuals, as parents, or even just workers or educators that are taking care of children and interacting with children, what is child sexual abuse? How do we take up a space or be active advocates within this sector?
Okay. Thank you so much. So you asked like two questions in one. You asked what is child sexual abuse and how can we take up space as advocates in preventing child sexual abuse? So I'm just going to use the generalized definition of child sexual abuse. Child sexual abuse is when anyone touches a child, uses a child, or any inappropriate interaction with a child that is less than 18. There are different types of it. It could be touching them inappropriately. It could be showing them inappropriate videos. It could be inciting them in any inappropriate way, as long as it's sexually, is in any sexual way, and you incite a child that is below 18, that is seen as child sexual abuse. There are so many nuances to it, depending on the country you are in and also depending on the situation. But most importantly, this is a generalized way to define it. And how can we take up spaces as advocates? This is a very broad question because there are many ways that we can take up spaces as advocates. But then one of the things I would say, while I wait for you to ask more specific questions on that, would be that everybody can take up space as an advocate to protect children. Why? Because everybody has an opportunity to protect children. Every adult has an opportunity to protect children. What that means is, as an adult, you are either a parent, you're either someone's sibling, you are either a cousin to someone, you're either a teacher or you're a caregiver, or there's an association, any interaction with a child. Even if you're not interacting with a child, you are interacting with someone who is interacting with a child. So everyone has an opportunity to take up space and prevent child sexual abuse. And I think the first way to do that is in educating yourself. So there are so many people that feel like, I don't have anything to do with children. I'm just this adult growing and doing my thing. But then there is a way you can help. And one of the first ways anybody can help is to be aware of what child sexual abuse is, and any role that you can play is secondary. First of all, understand what it is. Be aware that these things are happening around you, and then you can look for, okay, now I know this is what it is. This is what it is not. How can I help? So I think that's the first step, being aware of what child sexual abuse is.
Thank you very much, Chimdi. Segue to the next question. You said the first step to take space is educating yourself. Now, you would agree with me that out there we have a lot of information. If you're not careful, it is overwhelming. There is an advantage to the fact that we have access to as much information as we need, right? To equip or educate ourselves in whatever topic we need. But how do you streamline? How do you focus? How do you ensure that even while you're having access to certain information with the aim of improving yourself or educating yourself within a certain area, in this case, child protection, child sexual abuse, how do you vet that the information you're consuming is actually the right information, it's correct, and it's going to be useful or beneficial to the consumer?
That's going to be something very difficult to do, to be very honest with you. Information on child protection, just like any information anybody can give. I think the era of social media has made it more difficult for us to streamline what we take in as people. Everyone is giving advice, everyone is having an opinion, and it's not being sanctioned. No one is looking through to see that, is this the right information? So it's our responsibility to decide, okay, where should I get this right information? Now, because I'm answering this question generally, I'm not going to say, oh, make sure that all the information you get is from this particular place. But this is one of the things I'm going to say first, is understand that anybody can give you any information, true or false. And thanks to social media, there are countries that have sanctioned that. But as an individual, you have to take responsibility to say, what do I need to know about this thing? What don't I know? And then what do I need to know? Now, there are people that are professionals who share information on this. There are organizations that share information on this. While I say an adult must take responsibility, any information you're getting at all that you are taking into your life, you must be very conscious of where that information is coming from. Remember when I was just this girl who was passionate about this? How did I start learning about it? I looked out for organizations that were involved in child protection programs, and I started checking out their websites, to see, do these people have any training that they are doing that could be helpful to me? And then that was how my journey started. Now, some of the things that I would have said in 2019 when we started, or maybe earlier, 2017, probably won't be some of the things I will say now. I have also grown in my knowledge. So I'm also giving space for that place where you say, I'm growing in the knowledge of this, but it first comes with interest. Are you interested in this? Do you know how important it is to know this? If I'm going to just chip this in, child advocacy is not sympathy. Child protection advocacy is not being triggered or acting from trigger, right? So I'm going to give an example, a bit triggering example, but I'm going to just share it. So one of the things I noticed that happens back home that happens in Nigeria, which is where our work majorly happens, is that anytime there is a case of child sexual abuse, I'm going to use that for an instance, but any child protection case, actually, we've seen it happen in so many schools when something will happen, and then people are triggered, and then we start campaigning justice for this, justice for that. That's a very reactive way of a society to cause change. I am always I don't know how I feel every time I see that. 3 weeks ago, people restarted the Ochianya campaign, and my heart sank. And my heart sank for so many reasons. I see people who mean well, but people who do not understand systems. You can't cause change by being reactive. You must cause change systematically. You must cause change by understanding. I appreciate the fact that people are raising awareness on that, but there was so much misinformation. I remember a friend sharing a video with me of a girl who was in a bus saying, "Oh, if we catch you doing this, we'll kill you. We will do that." That's not change. If I see something like that, I'm worried about you as a person. I'm seeing someone who is wounded, who needs help. Those are the kind of things I see when I see people acting out of trigger. You see people that do not understand systematic change, right? So that's why you must understand what this is. You must educate yourself. If you're really interested, if you want a wholesome society, everyone here, if you have this interest in helping children, then you must give yourself the responsibility to read up on these things. Are there people that have done work on this? Is there an organization? What's this organization about? Right? You must equip yourself. You must look for courses to take. Do you understand? Just the same way, if you want to be a better graphic designer, you're looking for who will teach you graphic design, you're designing things and you're growing in that. That's also how this field is. It's a field, it's an area of work. So if you want to be knowledgeable about it, if you want to equip yourself about it, then you must do the work. Yeah.
Thank you, Chimdi. Please, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or raise your hand and we'll take that question. Question, what does making real impact in child welfare and protection truly mean in practical terms?
Yeah. So, like I said, making impact, just like I said, I mentioned that it wasn't being triggered, it wasn't being sympathetic or things like that, right? But it is understanding things that are happening systematically. If you allow me, I'm going to share something and I want all of us to contribute to it. Okay. So I'm going to share a case study in the chat. And I just want us to contribute to it. We're going to just use this to understand that question. What does real impact mean? I'll send it to the chat now. Right. So if everyone is here, we're going to do this together. So we have a girl named Maria, right? And Maria is 9 years old. She lives in a rural community in Enugu, in Obioha. I don't know if we're going to put Obioha as a rural community, but just take it that way, right?
The
So she
community
lives in a rural
today.
community in Enugu, in Obioha, and with her mother and 2 younger siblings. Her father left the family 2 years ago. The mother works long hours and struggles financially. Let's assume that Maria's mom has, a shop where she sells petty things. And then she works long hours, she's struggling financially. And then recently, Maria has been frequently absent from school because probably she's trying to help her mom sell things and make more money. Or I don't know if all of you are Igbo here. Mami Anere in a shop, Yawane Buari in the marketplace. So if her mom is selling in the shop, she will now maybe carry some other things outside so they can reach more customers, right? And then she's frequently absent from school, and when she attends, she appears withdrawn and has visible bruises on her arms. A teacher reports that Maria mentioned being scared to go home, but then she refused to elaborate. Okay, so we're going to do something. In the chat box, I want to hear, if anybody wants to unmute and speak, that's good. But in the chat box, can you share with me some of the things you think are Maria's problem in general? Can we think about what is Maria's problem? Yeah, so feel free to drop anything. I'm just going to give us like 5 minutes. Okay, no, 3 minutes to do that. Tell me what you think is Maria's problem from this case that we're looking at. Do we have people here? If you're here, just, put a thumbs up. Let me be sure that some people are following. Yeah, cool. I see you. So just put in the chat section. I want to see what are the things you think are Maria's problem. Feel free to put them in a group, or you can say, oh, Maria is from a poor home, or Maria has this. Just you can feel free to group them. You can feel free to mention them anyhow you want to do that. I'll give us 3 minutes and then I will go ahead to at least the things you can see. Either there are things you can see or there are things you can assume, whichever one. Good. Amarachi Teresa says financial struggles. Thank you so much for that. Amazing. So Chinonso said Maria's welfare is not prioritized by her mom. Okay. Thank you so much for that. What do you think the bruise could indicate? What do you think her withdrawal could indicate? What do you think her environment could indicate? What do you think her reluctance to speak could indicate? What do you think about her mom, her not being able to go to school? What could that expose her to? Right? So we have 1 more minute and I will share a few things with you. Just to answer, amazing. Thank you so much, Amarachi, for sharing that. That's a very big thing so many of us ignore. Obiagu is a rough environment, not safe for a child, not so safe for a child. Thank you for sharing that. Chisimdi said vulnerable to abuse. Thank you. Okay, so that's 3. Okay, Maria needs help, but no one sees her part. Amazing. So silence might just be a coping mechanism. Thank you so much for sharing that. Someone said Maria faces some sort of molestation and assault while she tries to support her mother. Her withdrawal could be a sadness from her mother's inability to provide and protect her. Thank you. Maria is from a low-income family. She's going through several traumatic experiences and could have been molested. An environment isn't safe for growing up alone. Thank you so much. Feel free to drop more if you have that. Now, the reason I shared this story is because of the first question. Do you mind repeating that question so that people can think about it and think about this case scenario as well? We can't hear you. You're muted.
Thank you. The question was, what does making real impact in child welfare and protection truly mean in practical terms?
Thank you. So think about what would child welfare and protection mean for Maria? The reason I shared this particular story is this, I'm sure you know a Maria somewhere. I'm sure you've seen a Maria somewhere. And what will it even mean? So now let's look at this together. We've looked at the problems that Maria has. What do you think child protection for Maria would mean? Can you put your recommendations in this chat box? Okay, someone said she's probably going through something that she feels unsafe or too scared to say. She's probably on that violent phase, which, yeah, absolutely. So now, based on this question we've seen, I'm throwing the question back to everyone. What do you think could be the things that would help Maria? Let's start from the teacher, right? So to you, if you were Maria's teacher, what would child protection mean? How can you help Maria in school as her teacher? Let's start from there. All of us work with children. Let's say you meet a Maria tomorrow and someone working with children, what would you do? If you live in a neighborhood and you meet someone like Maria, what would you do? How would you help Maria? So I would want us to drop that in the comment section. I'm going to wait for us to make those suggestions, but while we do that, I'm going to say something. The reason I made us to think about this wholesomely is to see that protecting children is a very systematic thing. It's not something that is one-sided. These are some of the things that working in public health has also made me see, that truly protecting children is not something that happens in one way. It's something that happens wholesomely and it's something that happens systematically. Nelson Mandela says something that if you want to see what a society truly is, look at how it treats its children, right? So how what would truly protecting children mean for every one of us? I'm still waiting for our feedback. Let's start from the small, big, small, medium, and the bigger way of protecting children. From the small angle, as a teacher, how do you think you can help Maria? How can we help Maria at a larger scale? Because there's different ways that Maria can be helped. That teacher, while I'm waiting for our responses, maybe I could share, then anyone can drop comments in the drop, because I can see no one is putting anything down yet. First of all, the teacher who notices Maria in that class can do so many things. First of all, can give Maria a safe place. This girl already feels unsafe. You can make lots of assumptions on what is going on in her home or what is happening in her house. Her mom, who is not able to help or pay attention to see exactly what's happening with Maria. But you as a teacher, what can you do? How can you create a safe space for Maria to be able to speak or for you to understand better what is going on with Maria? That's the first step. So as a person, there is actually a little thing and little impact that you can make. This is to say that causing real change or impact in the life of a child does not start in a big way where we say, oh, the government should do this. There are so many things we can say the government can do. But as a person, as a teacher in Maria's class, you can give her a safe space to speak. You can understand exactly what is going on in her house. So let's assume that Maria is living in an environment like Obioha, and maybe they are living in a face me, I face you community. Maybe someone is inappropriately touching Maria. Maybe someone is physically abusing Maria. Maybe. But all of these things you cannot know if no one speaks to Maria, and the government cannot help with that. You as a teacher can start with an individualistic change to create a safe space for the students in your class, for the children you're working with, for them to be able to speak. And how can you create a safe space? When I hear a lot of people saying safe space, safe space, safe space, how can a child understand that you are a safe space to talk to? When people say safe spaces, what does a safe space mean? A safe space means that you create a child-friendly environment. For example, what kind of adult are you? Safe space starts with, are you someone who comes into a place from your personality? A child will know whether they want to say something more to you or not. A safe space can mean how you interact with a child. Do you come into a room as an adult and you see children around and you go and stay on one side? Oh, I don't deal with kids. You sit on your own. No. A safe space means that you come into a place. Hey, how are you doing? What's your name? Oh, you communicate with them. So safe space comes with communication. So assuming you are a teacher in your class, how do you communicate with your kids? How do you ask them questions? How are you doing today? What did you eat? That conversation beyond the normal expectation from you is one of the ways to create a safe space. A safe space also could mean that you're not being judgmental. You're not asking, why? Who? No, it means that you allow the child to talk freely. You ask open-ended questions. Oh, can you explain to me what did that mean to you? Open-ended questions to allow the person to have better conversations. Safe space is also being very observant as a teacher. Observant that if you see that a child is withdrawn, Maria may not have said anything, but from observing Maria as a teacher, you can see that there is something wrong with this girl. Maybe Maria used to be a very vocal child, but no, she's not. Let's even assume that Maria does not talk at all as a child in class. Let's say that Maria comes to school with a dirty cloth, unironed, sometimes no sandals, sometimes no, Maria doesn't do her assignment. Observing what that is and bringing the person aside to ask questions and not being judgmental and say, who is your mother safe? Your mother is not doing those kind of things. Those are examples of creating safe spaces, and you can do that first as a teacher. Now, let me see some of the feedback some of you have written here. Okay, so someone said, first try to win her trust, which is what we've talked about. As an individual, you create a safe space for a child. Trust and companion, giving her a room to open up and would like to share some stories of the past experiences. Okay, yes, thank you. I'll first make her feel comfortable and open up to me. Thank you. I will probe, ask her questions based on what I know about her, just to make her comfortable with me. And I need to know now and not assume. Okay, thank you for sharing that. As a neighbor, I may not have the authority of a teacher, but I still have an important role to play in helping keep Maria safe. There are a few practical things I can do to support her and make sure she gets the help she needs. Pay attention and observe what is happening around her home. If I continue to notice bruises, fear, crying, and shouting, I won't ignore it. Then I can try to create a safe space and a friendly environment for Maria. Something as simple as genuine interest in her well-being and or allowing her to feel comfortable talking to me can help her feel supported. If she ever opens up to me, I will listen without judging and reassure her that it's not her fault. Thank you so much for sharing that. Oh, okay. Let's read Faith and then I will just summarize with that, Ife. As a teacher, I would listen without prejudice. I believe that it would make her comfortable and safe. I would try to understand her relationship with her mom, to even know if her mom is aware of the problem. But it's negligent. That would allow me know how to speak to her mom. I would further encourage Maria and let her know she's not alone. Thank you so much for everyone's feedback. Absolutely great. I just wanted us to know from this question, the reason I asked this question, or I answered this question this way, is for every one of us to know, first of all, that you can be a good bystander. You can be a good bystander as a teacher, as a neighbor, as anything. As long as you have a relationship or an interaction with a child, you can be a responsible adult. You can be a responsible bystander. There are also systematic things that we can address. You can see that there is a whole social determinant of health surrounding Maria's life. You can see that Maria is suffering from a social economic situation. You can see she's suffering from family negligence because she's from a single parent home and her mom is not available because her mom is trying to make finance available. And there are different ways we can address all of these things. There are levels that we can address all of this. But most importantly, there is a responsibility that you can. There's something you can do as an adult, and that starts first with being that teacher that creates a safe space. Maria's home can be chaotic, but your classroom can be the safe space where Maria speaks. Your class can be the safe place where Maria would learn how to say no to an adult who wants to hurt her in a way that is not appropriate, or that wants to hurt her or touch her in a way that is inappropriate. It can all start from your class. And how we can truly, the last question you asked, how we can truly measure change is that a child's life is made better. I want to just put it in the simplest way possible, is that after having an interaction with you, a child's life becomes better, no matter how small it is. That, to me, is change. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Chimdi, and thank you everyone for the answers and the interactions. So you answered my next question, which is, what are our roles as individuals? And I like the comment that said, as a neighbor. So we also are accepting the fact that we're not just teachers, regardless, we are neighbors. Mm-hmm. And I would want to add something to what Chimdi has said. We should also keep in mind our context. Now, in some places, especially the Western world, they would say, oh, take the child away from the space. I know none of us say that, but you'll be in spaces where you hear that. So we also have to be cognizant of our realities in Nigeria. Take the child from where to where. We do not have those systems of structure in place. So I'm trying to say, when we're also thinking of how to step in and help, let's be sure that that solution we're preferring fits the particular context for that child, for you as a person. Let's also keep in mind our limitations in knowledge and in expertise. So Chimdi mentioned something, ask open-ended questions. Some of us, only our facial expression might scare the children. And it's not your fault. Maybe you're just that big auntie, mommy G.O. person that always has this serious face, serious facial expression. Or you're just still learning, but you've observed as a teacher, but I don't think I'm there to ask these questions. Being aware of your limitation and being able to know who to involve or even how to go about that situation has made you as responsible as you can be as a child protection person or just caring for that child in your own way. Thirdly, I would want to add, Chimdi also mentioned good bystander. I like a definition of abuse that says it is causing harm to children or omitting what you're meant to do for a child. So that means if you're not actively causing harm to that child, not doing what you should have done is also indirectly causing harm. So when we call abusers, both the person actively causing harm and you yourself that is just minding your business, because unfortunately that's where the society is going to now. It's not my business, so I'll just face front. But so I just try to use every space to say, you're not the one actively causing harm, fine. But if you look away, if you ignore that situation, then you are as responsible, or you can be blamed or take much blame as much as that person that is causing active harm or actively abusing that child. So thank you so much, Chimdi.
If can I say something?
Of course, of course.
Yes. So I just wanted to say that another thing I wanted to say about child protection is not something that is not an intervention program, if that helps. You don't wait for things to happen for you to protect a child. Child protection is a lifestyle. It's something that should happen in any environment where kids exist. So I would say prevention. Maybe that, but it is creating an environment where every child is safe. So you don't wait for when an abuse case has happened. And that's why I said like a reactive environment like Nigeria, where we wait for things to happen before we begin to shout justice and all of that. You don't wait for reactions. You want to create an environment where that does not even happen. We want to have wholesome kids that are well-rounded. But we are doing that with intention that, there's a possibility of this kind of thing happening. So I'll paint a scenario. You have a school. And in your school, I come to your school and I ask questions like, okay, what does this school do in case of bullying? You're like, in this school, there is no bullying in this school. Everybody in this school does the right thing. I'm not going to bring my child to your school. I'm sorry. You'll need to have an environment where there is, even before that kind of thing happens, you have things in place. Second thing is, if I ask you, okay, what is the child sexual abuse policy in your school? You're like, in this school, we don't do, no. That's not what I want to hear. I want to hear things like, when a teacher gets employed in the school, they sign a contract of child body safety. This is the contract they sign, that this will happen and this will happen, that they will not do this. They are made aware of the possibilities and the repercussions if anything like that happens. The teacher comes and understands that, in this school, one teacher cannot be with a student in a class alone, no matter what, even if you're the best loving teacher. And those are school policies made in place, just in case somebody goes mad. There are things that have been put in place. And it's everywhere. It's a policy that has already been set. So you don't wait for things to happen before you begin to run helter-skelter. That's child protection. Then in summary, I wanted to say that immeasurable change, I put it down this way, that whether it is one child made safe, whether it is a harmful practice stopped, whether it is a caregiver that was empowered, one, or a system that you improved as a whole, that is protecting. That is child protection. One of the things that we started doing in our organization is whenever we train people and then they go out to do work, I say, document stories of impact. Like, for example, one child comes to report to you. We want to hear what happened to that child, what went on after that happened. Because that one child that is changed, that is impact. So I stopped being so interested in numbers. I became more interested in one child, one change, right? So if this teaching made one child to realize that, the way this uncle talks to me is grooming, that's enough. That's change, and that's okay. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Chimdi. I like what you said, one child, one change, because especially for us in the social development space, at times you get lost in wanting the numbers. Over the past 6 years, I've touched 25,000 children. I
I
So
know.
so that was the reason why we really wanted that question. What does it mean? How do you find satisfaction in knowing at least this one child was better off because of me? So I really like that. Um, I would ask, you would notice I wouldn't ask about how should government step in or how, because this is not the space. Not that we cannot profess solutions, but I would think that for this to be contextual and relevant to us, we'll just keep it within our capacity and what it is that we can do. However, what legal protection gaps, especially
Mm.
being that so most of us, if not all of us, are in Enugu, or we started off advocacy in Enugu and then Nigeria. And starting with Enugu or even within the Nigerian legislative space, what legal protections do you know exist for children? And from your experience, what are the gaps that you found?
Okay. So you asked what legal things I see that are available for children, right? Legal protection agencies that are available for children, and then what are the
Yes.
gaps? Hmm. I'm honestly thinking, okay, first of all, I want us to know that there are policies in Nigeria, right, that are against any form of child exploitation or that protects children. We have that in existence. Um, is it fully functional? Goes back to the quote that I made earlier that a society is a reflection of how it treats children. And I don't need to start running down on how I feel or reasons I feel that we are not a society that protects children, right? There's no need to go through all of that. But then are there legal agencies? Yes, there are. There are so many of them. There are, first of all, I'm going to mention the ones I feel are wholesome. I have worked with Cheche Yara over the years. Cheche is a nonprofit that protects children. It has all different types of services, rehabilitation, legal. Um, it's one organization I know is wholesome. They attend to every sphere of a child's life whenever there is a case of child sexual abuse reported to them. I think we've referred maybe 2 cases to them that I remember. And it was well handled because they have well-trained professionals to handle that. Um, that is one I know that is well-rounded. I know that there are so many other organizations. I may not be able to remember all of them top of head, but if anybody wants a list, I can send. We usually compile that in our organization and we have their numbers just in case they are state-based, like the state you are in. And if you want to make a report, um, you can get any of their numbers. If you need that, I can send that to you. So, but then you asked a question I would want to focus more on. You said, what are the gaps? If you asked me this question last year, 2 years ago, I would say that um, I am not a big advocate for, um, or rather, my focus hasn't been on the legal thing when children are abused in any form, physical abuse, social abuse in any form. And the reason is I do not like how it ends. But that doesn't mean it should never be attended to. So, first of all, I'm going to give you a reason for that. We have had a society that when a child is hurt in any way, whether it's physical abuse, domestic violence, sexual violence, any kind of violence against any child, the focus is always, who did this thing? How can we punish this person? And then we forget the most important person in the circle, which is the child that has been hurt. And there is nothing done. And yet, even the justice we pursue, we get nothing out of it. So, in a case of any child sort of harm to a child, my first focus is always, can we narrow down to this child? How can we help this child? How can this child be rehabilitated? How can things be helped? We do not understand how important this is. I didn't even know how important it was until I started working in child and adolescent mental health. You know that, so I'm currently doing a shadowing with a doctor who's a psychiatrist, and some of the questions that they were asked. So one of the sessions we're having with someone who is having post-traumatic stress disorder, and we're asking all these questions, and I'm like, that means everybody that I know around me has post-traumatic stress disorder or has issues. And each time I'm asking him questions, he's associating to me how this can lead to this, how this can lead to this, and how this can lead to this. And I'm like, oh my God, we are literally destroying children. We are literally destroying children by not paying attention to them when any kind of harm happens. My heart was heavy. And I was like, oh my God. So this is one of the reasons I'm always mirroring down to the child, what's happening with the person? How can we rehabilitate this child? How can we help this child understand that the society is safe? The adults are people that you can still interact with. How can we regulate this child's emotion again? But we think those things are not important. The child becomes an adult, and I say, why is this adult so violent? Why is it that this adult cannot make decisions for themselves? Why is it that this adult, but all of these characteristics or attitude or characters are based on the experiences the child has had growing up, which we never paid attention to, right? So, but now, I'm beginning to look at the justice system. Why exactly do we need justice? I was asking someone, so I'm currently doing a project where I'm working with a man. What he does is that he works with people in prison that have been sentenced for child sexual abuse. And they are doing a research and asking, why did you do this? Why did this happen? And then we are trying to find out what are the reasons. Why is justice important? If I can remember all the 4 reasons, if I don't remember all the 4 reasons right now, you can go and check the reason why people do that. So first of all is justice is not for forgiveness, if that makes sense. Forgiveness is very is a later on kind of thing. Justice is first of all to ensure that the person gets punishment. There is research that shows that people have a corrected character based on punishment that is given to them. So first of all, we want to punish people enough so they do not repeat a character. Secondly, is we also want to send a message to the society that this is what can happen if this happens, right? The third one, I can't remember what the third one is, but I think the last one is to see if the person can be changed well enough to come back to the society, something in that nature. I can't remember the last two, but I'm very interested in the first two. I didn't know why, because I have never really paid attention to justice because I don't like the justice system in Nigeria. But then I ask myself, these 4 reasons for pursuing justice, how do we even understand why we pursue justice in Nigeria? If we understand why, we will know why there is increased crime, and we would know why we need to pursue justice. For someone like me who has no interest in justice or didn't focus so much on it, now I understand better, right? And I see the importance of that. So when you ask, what are the gaps? We know there are so many gaps, right? First of all, I feel like we don't understand the reason for justice. And that's why we don't even think reporting is important. And because we think reporting is not important, we leave cycles, repeated cycles continue. People think they will always go scot-free, so they are enabled. We think enabling people is saying, oh, you can go ahead and do this. No. Enabling people can also be a lack of justice is an enablement for crime. Yeah. And all of this exists in the society we are in just because we don't take action. in that light. So as much as I am saying it is important to take action in that light, I'm also saying that it is more important to focus on the child. I hope I gave a balanced perspective to that.
Yes, yes. Again, like child-centered care is really important about the child. Let's not forget. That really helps. Thank you. And it's also good to always remember that, especially in Nigeria, if we're not really thinking about the children and we focus a lot on getting justice too, the process at times, if it's not being executed properly, can take a toll on the child. The child is brought in for questioning over and over again. That's because professionals in some cases might not be handling that well. So as much as possible, let's be sure that we're working with professionals that know what it is they're doing and prioritize child-centered response, as you've said. Thank you, Chimdi. I have a lot of other technical questions around child sexual abuse, but I think I would take a pause because we're not okay. Okay, I will take this question. It says, what early warning signs of abuse or neglect should parents, teachers, and health workers never ignore?
Honestly, I know that we have physical signs, emotional signs, psychological signs, and all that. And we can make a list of them, or you can Google those signs, honestly, on social media. Oh, sorry, on the internet. But as teachers, instead of answering this question and saying, what are the warning signs that you can see? Because there are so many. When you say warning signs are when you've seen that someone is grooming someone, and grooming can come in any way. I've seen grooming come in the funniest ways and in ways that I have not even seen on the internet before, right? So first of all is anything that does not sit right, ask. Ask. That's even if you see an adult, you can ask. You can ask a question. It is okay to ask a question that you don't understand. And be observant. So instead of answering what are the warning signs, I would say what are the skills that will enable an adult see warning signs. First of all is communication. 2 is observance. You must be an observant adult. Like you must observe, you must notice, you must look into a room. And I love this case study that we looked at. See, if I come into a room and I see kids, I'm like, I ask questions not because of anything. I ask questions. Oh, where are you coming from? Where do you live? No, I am actually literally psyching you as a person. I want to know where you're from. I want to know the kind of child you're from. I want to know the kind of things that are around you. It will gauge the conversations I have with you. If I come into a room and a child is having a conversation with me, I'm checking everything about you, how you look, how you speak, how you think, the kind of place you're coming from, because all of these things, they come together to who a child is. So when you say what are the warning signs of abuse, warning signs is anything that you are uncomfortable with. Those are warning signs. If anything that you're uncomfortable with an adult, ask questions. As a parent, as a teacher, and as a health worker. If you come into a room, just like I was saying, when we see patients and the patient walks into a room, this is the conversation I have with the person I'm working with. He's like, so when this person walks into the room, watch how they interact, watch how they talk to you, watch the kind of answers they give, watch the kind of like how they try to beat down on their anxiety. Some of them, you see them tapping on something. You see all of them say something about their character or what they do or anything. So you literally have to be a psychologist or psychiatrist if you're a parent, teacher, or anything. You have to be observant. Those skills are important. So, for physical signs of abuse and neglect, there are so many things you see. They'll tell you a child that begins to bed wet, but I have seen kids that do not show any of these signs, yet they are being abused. So that's why I would say, instead of looking out for signs, I would say, or looking out for these warning signs, have the skills yourself. And anything that makes you uncomfortable as a wholesome adult, ask questions. Any interaction that makes you uncomfortable as a wholesome adult with a child, ask questions. In my church, there are rules around, and anybody you're working with can come and ask you, Chimdi, you don't have to be in that. Like, you just see them saying it as a normal thing. Oh no, the rule is that you don't stay in a room with a child, just you. Just say it. Do you understand? It doesn't mean the person is doing anything. The reason why we take offense is because we don't have rules around children. So if someone says something, you're already feeling like, oh, so is this person trying to say, no, 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 no. So if you are walking around children, even you have to be a good bystander. It also means keeping the people you're working with accountable. As a team, you guys are here, you go for an outreach, and someone is overstepping their boundaries with a child. It's okay to say, oh, you don't have to. If you want to talk to that child, let someone be with you. Let someone chaperone you with that child. It's okay. You can say that. So those are the things I would say are the skills a person should have. If you have these skills, it will be quick for you to pick anything that is a sign or a change when a child is being abused or neglected.
Thank you very much, Chimdi. Yes, it does help. And again, when they say do not speak to a child alone, that rule also protects you as a child caregiver. Because you don't want tomorrow they will say she or he did this. It protects the child, it protects you. I also tell school, in case we're in the education space, I tell school leaders, as much as possible, also know if you can have transparent walls, even for your guardians and counselors. That way, they're providing the support or the confidentiality that child needs, but there is transparency that brings assurance to the whole system, right? So it is really important what you said about these rules. And it's just like as an adult, you touch a child and they say, no, don't hug me. You would feel offended if you are not educated, but you would be impressed if you were educated. You just say, let me respect myself. So it's really important that we keep those rules in mind. We can't even begin to scratch the surface about what reporting system is, or how we should correctly report, or what we should do, even in providing help, and what we should not do, right? But I think the answers you've given would help us become more conscious as we're interacting with children. So thank you for that. Faith, you have your hand raised.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Sorry, I have a question, but before I ask, thank you very much, Ife, for organizing this. And thank you very much, Dr. Chimdi. The session has been really enlightening. So my question is, how do you balance community realities with safeguarding expectations? So this is what we know, that child protection is like really broad. So we have like cases of domestic violence, we have sexual abuse, we have bullying, we have even the cases of female genital mutilation. So there are different aspects. So the reason why I'm asking is, away from the town, we want to have an outreach in communities, local communities. And then, you know, some of these communities have their own cultural beliefs and everything. So you want to go and talk to, you're going to a community and then you're trying to advocate for female genital mutilation. Meanwhile, these people already have their own belief that this thing is something they are promoting. It's good. It reduces promiscuity in ladies. And then you're going to tell them that no, it is bad. So how do you now balance such community realities with your own safeguarding expectations? That's just the question I want to ask.
Okay, thank you so much for that question. I'm excited about the question because I asked this question one time in class where we're having a session. So I'm going to see how we can address it. So we're going to paint a scenario, right? Faith, you are a child advocate for a community in Ebonyi State. So Ebonyi State is one of the southeastern states that has a high prevalence of female genital mutilation. if you know that, right? It's competing with the northern states as well. So you go to a community there to do an outreach today. And then when you go to that community, it's a sacred thing that they do female genital mutilation. And if you know female genital mutilation very well, you see they have 3 different stages. Like they do the stage 3 where they cut everything off, you know? Sorry for painting that picture. I'm trying to paint a very good scenario so that you know how intense the kind of work you're doing is. And then you go to this community and you're trying to help. And you just come out and you start telling them, guys, female genital mutilation is wrong. This is what you're doing. This is what you're doing, and all of that. First of all, is that they'll banish you. You will achieve nothing, and you will never come back to that community again. And you will be depressed because you can see the problem. You can see a lot of, and they're very excited doing it. Like the mothers that have gone through that process are telling you that this works. It's made them. So what are some of the things that people have said that is the benefit of female genital mutilation? One of them is that the girl is not going to be promiscuous. And if you think about it, yes, it's made them not to be promiscuous. Why? Because when you cut off the sensitive part of a woman, she would never want sex, right? So they are telling you what they are doing is working. So who are you to tell them that this, their old, long tradition is something they should drop? One of the things that I've learned working in global health is a concept called cultural humility. Cultural humility is going to help you a lot as a child safety advocate. And what is cultural humility? I'm going to say it in the simplest way. Cultural humility is not, even if you know or have a solution to a problem, make sure that you are humble enough or you are meek to come into a society with their help, understand what is going on in the society, together with them, bring up a solution, and then together with them, address the solution. One of the reasons we had to learn so much about it is people coming from the West trying to help people from Nigeria or different African countries solve problems like this. There is a concept of cultural humility, and that is you want to learn. Cultural humility, one of the things it does is that it brings a lot of curiosity to you as a person. If for real, Faith, you're trying to go into this community in Ebonyi to solve this problem, one of the things you must do is you must go there as someone who knows nothing. You must be curious about this, their long tradition that they believe is so helpful to them. You must understand it. Don't ever go to a place with the idea of, guys, I have the solution to your problems. Now, let me come and help you. No. They will leave the solution for you. And you will end up, so you must go there with the consciousness to learn. You must go there to understand why is this important to you. And this is why experiences are very important. Before we end, I'm going to share with you a very clear example of how someone solved this same exact thing or brought the community to understand this exact thing you're talking about. So, first of all, you must have cultural humility. In any work you're doing, especially with communities, you must do what? Have cultural humility. Understand exactly what they are going through. Ask questions. Why is this? And ask it with the intention to know, not the intention to condemn. So you come into that society. Why do you guys do this tradition? Why is this tradition important to you? Understand it. See reasons with them. Now, when you are done with that, the next thing you're going to do while you are in that community and understanding what they are going through is to do what? Do a survey. Who are the people that have gone through this? You have something in your mind, though, that you know what this thing causes. Who are the people that have gone through this in this community? Do you know that you can have a solution and bring that solution to a society, but that solution does not apply to that society? I know female genital mutilation is one we know clearly has an issue, right? But there are people that have come with solutions to communities, but your problem doesn't, even though you have the solution, they are very okay and they don't need your solution. They are absolutely okay with the challenge they have. They found their way around that they don't need your solution. But let's assume that these people actually need your solution. Do a survey. Find out people in that community that have gone through that problem, and find out that these people, they also have, they can also have the disadvantages or the challenges from female genital mutilation, but they don't even know. They think it's a good thing. Now, you individually try to make those people see the other side. Do you know that you can actually do this, do this, do that? It's called community buy-in. In survey, you do community buy-in. You get one or two people to see reasons with you. It is those people that you have had a buy-in with that will help you and stand in for you in speaking against that thing and creating a solution for the broader space, if this makes sense. I'm trying to show you how you can systematically do this in a society. I know we have a short time. So if I'm going to circle back to what I said again, first of all, cultural humility when doing community projects. 2 is have a community buy-in. Do a survey, find out people that this thing you're talking about or this problem you're talking about, they've gone through it and they are suffering from the challenges. Then use their cases, help them to see that there is a better life from them. Then use their cases to make a broader case for the community. It is people from the community that would actually be the ones making the case. They will now be the ones saying, so this is the solution to this. It is not you that is an outsider from their society. You must buy in, right? And when you do that, together with those people in that community, you create a systematic solution to the problem that they have. With that, if people create the solution by themselves, they won't say no to it. But if you're imposing your solutions to them, they will see you as an outsider who either wants something from them or doesn't really care about them. I hope that helps you. Yeah, but that's how you address such kind of cases in
Thank you
this.
very much, Chimdi. Faith is clapping. So yes, I believe that helped. We have 3 minutes to go. I know we had 2 major objectives of being here. One is to learn more about child protection and then how to position ourselves for global opportunities or any opportunities at all and how to tell our stories. I want to ask, can we, because what I'm trying to avoid is for us to rush the process, right? Volunteers, tell us, what do you think? Should we have a part 2 of this? Dr. Chimdi, is that something we can do? Maybe sometime in December or January. But then we're focusing more on telling our impact story, be it one child, be it 100 children. And based on that story, how we're then positioning ourselves for opportunities. So please, I want to hear from the group. What do we think? Because we are at 1 hour and 30 minutes and we're looking to end this at most 1 hour. But this shows that we're learning and nobody has left really. But let me hear from us really, because this is for us. What do we think? Please just drop in the chat. Are we open to a part 2? And we can deep dive into the opportunity and positioning part. Thank you, Chinonso. Yes, part 2. Okay. Dr. Chiri, I'm sorry. I know this was not what we discussed. Forgive me.
It's okay.
But, because I'm like, I don't want to cut you short. And I wouldn't want us to rush this. Okay, we have 3 people. Okay, well, I guess there is no. So yes is a yes. Is this fine by you, Dr. Chimdi? I know you really have a busy schedule. You had mentioned your thesis and other things. We can say January, if that works, or even any time, and then we would work it out with the community. What do you think?
Yeah, we can definitely fix another time. Just let me know ahead of time and then I can plan around it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any questions? And thank you, Faith, for your questions. Before we round up, do we have any questions related to what we've covered so far, or any points we may wish to buttress? Okay. As I am waiting, I would quickly go through and just try to summarize from the brief note I was taking. And again, Chimdi, thank you very much, because the objective about even knowing how we can play out our role effectively, in our day-to-day activities, regardless of where we find ourselves, I believe we really achieved that. And some takeaway I had noted from this conversation so far is the fact that we need to be more proactive and less reactive. As a child safety, especially school safety professional, it's very difficult when things happen. Personally, you wouldn't see me really address a case almost immediately, because the question is, with these solutions you're preferring, how are the people you're reaching out to going to take it? Do we have the staying power to see that solution through? So everybody is saying justice, justice, but after the justice, what were the lessons learned from that experience? How are you applying it in your school? If it was a situation that happened in your school, or it happened in your neighboring school, what did you learn from that situation? As a parent, how are you applying what had happened in maybe Ochanya's case? What lessons did you learn from that? How are you looking out for those gaps as an uncle or even as an auntie, right? How are you looking out for the children in your space? So systematic change is what we should be going for. And we can achieve that by being proactive and not reactive. You also mentioned that a safe space means creating a child-friendly environment and also being observant as much as we can. You encourage us to be good bystanders. So as much as possible, if you see something, say something. And with regards impact, one child that is made safe is impact enough. Improving a system is impact enough. Just changing a little practice is impact enough. And I believe with those little drops, we can then create an ocean. And in responding to child abuse, we need to think about the child. So as much as possible, we should respond and consider or prioritize child-centered approaches. This child that you're helping, what about them? How best are you providing that help so they are actually getting the support they need, and the healing process can actually start as soon as possible? You also mentioned that justice is important. And because we know getting justice is important, we should also prioritize reporting any case we see. As we are managing the Nigerian system, we will keep reporting till we get it right. And with response to our community, like applying systems, considering the context of a community, especially just like the case Faith shared, it is very important that when you're thinking grassroots, outreach, that you get community buy-in, understand the challenge, be open-minded, and work with the community. Find the solution by the community for the community, right? And that's where you're creating a change that is systematic and is long-lasting. This is me and from my notes. So thank you very much, Dr. Chimdi. I'm really hoping that we're really better off and inspired, or even we've learned one or two things from this session. I would like for us to use just the next 1 minute or 2 minutes to quickly drop in the chat one thing, just one thing, the one thing you have learned. And if you've enjoyed this session or you've learned something, please let's give Dr. Chimdi any emoji that shows the way we feel.
Yeah, while we're doing that, I see Chinonso put up a question. Well, thank you so much. I see all your emojis. I see Chinonso put up a question. He said, which certification, trainings, or courses would you recommend for anyone serious about making impact? Making impact in what, if I may ask? So I guess probably making impact in this. So because of this question, actually, because of this session, Ife, you have triggered me or rather inspired me to create. I'm going to create a guide for a child body safety advocate. And the guide would have different things, what it means to be an advocate, and opportunities, trainings that can be helpful to a child body safety advocate. And I'm going to send that to your team when that happens. It probably take me some time to do that, maybe finish it sometime next year, but I'm going to send that to your community. So, but to answer your question, Chinonso, what are some of certifications and trainings and courses that you would like to recommend? There are so many professional certificates for child protection that you're going to see. When I started looking out for opportunity or things, or certifications in this, I know I saw so many of them on Coursera, depending on what you want. There are some on Coursera, there are some on Udemy. I remember taking one on Udemy. I remember taking some on Coursera. But then I know I did a training with Darkness to Light in 2019, and I think they still have that training. I don't know if it's still free now. But I did a training with Darkness to Light, which is an organization here in the US that is focused on preventing child sexual abuse from an adult perspective. And I know they still have training, so you can check it out. It's not so expensive. You can do that. And I know a team can do those trainings. So if you guys want to do it as a team, you can buy their course as a team and it's kind of cheaper. So someone said, with the rate of child sexual abuse and molestation, do you ever worry about dangers involved with being a child welfare advocate? Do you think of the enemies you make by being there for the children? Honestly, no. I don't think there is, and this is also how I'm going to answer this question for you, Favor, is you are building a safe environment for a child. No one is your enemy doing that, right? So whenever we think of child body safety, and this is one of the reasons why I started using the word child body safety instead of child sexual abuse. Child sexual abuse is a reactive, a response to something, a harm that has happened. When we say child sexual abuse prevention, it's giving, let me use the Gen Z term, it's giving something has happened. But if you think of and say something like child body safety, you are creating a safe environment. You're creating a safety environment for a child, not conscious of, as an adult, conscious of some things that could go wrong, but most importantly, creating a joyful and happy space for a child. We also do not even use the same child sexual abuse, depending on the age of children we're working with. We use that for older kids. So you're not inciting fear in parents. Many parents, whenever they hear this, which I don't even expect because it's happening, but most importantly, use wholesome terms. You're creating a child safety environment, a safe environment for a child, and there's nothing wrong with that. You won't have enemies doing that, right? But when hurt has happened, you can still have justice. You don't need to create enemies. I know that there are nuances to that, but change your mindset to creating a safe place for children shouldn't be something triggering. It's not something that screams danger. Safety is joy. Safety is good. That's what it should be, right? Then when you get into the nuances of justice, you need wisdom as an advocate to deal with that. And you can insist on justice without having enemies. There may be, but you can still do the right thing with wisdom. We're taking pictures in 1 minute. Get ready to switch. Okay, cool. I don't know if I answered your question, Divine Favor. If you have maybe a specific thing to say in that regard, that would be helpful. But yeah, that's what I think.
Thank you very much, Chimdi. If we have more questions, right, we can keep dropping them in the chat or even in our volunteers group, and then we'll pass it across to her. And in same vein, if you have specific questions also around the impact statement and impact reporting and getting ourselves or positioning ourselves for opportunities, we should also drop that in the volunteers group. Again, thank you, Chimdi. I cannot say that enough. Please, let's switch on our cameras and we would,
Sorry.
yes, if you can. While we are waiting, okay, go ahead before.
Yeah. While we do that, I just wanted to say something in addition to the question that Chinonso John Paul asked. said training courses. I know we've mentioned training and courses. Another thing that I recently started doing, which has been helpful, and I think will be helpful as an organization, is this. I started reading research papers on child protection that other people have applied. So there are countries that have gotten it right with child protection, right? And they do so much work on that. And it's one of the things I've started doing is another level of preferring solutions, right? So I will encourage you, if you're someone who you really want to get into this and understand what it does, go to Google Scholar, if you know, and type child protection studies or something like that and read up. There are research papers. I don't know if you enjoy reading research papers, but if anyone that has done master's and PhD, you would know how important that is. So you can read up papers and see people that have the tools, how they use, some of these organizations, before an organization prefers a solution, they call it, if for them to say is a research-based study or research-based solution, it means that they've scientifically studied this process and tool and seen the results or the impact. Is one way to learn a lot. So I'm going to recommend that. And also, another way to learn from the work you're doing yourself is to keep data. So as an organization, as a team, make sure you keep data. For example, if we do For the Love of Children and we want to see, we have lots of teachers coming for that event, that's a good opportunity to do a survey and see, oh, what's the character of teachers, or what do these teachers know before we did this conference? Now, after this conference, what do they know now? You can use it to pick up character changes. You can use it to learn. It's a good learning experience. Data collection and analyzing those data is very super beneficial, especially as an organization. As an organization, is a good way to learn. Yeah. I don't know if that was helpful. Okay. Someone said, yeah, okay. We don't have anything else. Okay, cool. Yeah.
That was helpful. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay, that was helpful. Thank you. So let's quickly switch on our cameras. Let's take a picture and then we can call it a day. Whilst we are waiting for those that can switch on their cameras to do that, I would really like to thank all of you for being here, right? This session wouldn't hold if we're not here. Thank you especially to Chinonso, John Paul, and Benedicta. They are our coordinators and they've worked behind the scene to make this happen. Benedicta has been sending texts. I'm so sorry, my network, but the truth is, without the prior, oh, she's here. Okay. So thank you, Benedicta, for that. It went well. Thank you for the questions you prepared. So let's quickly take a picture, right? And then Dr. Chimdi would get back to you with regards to part 2. And to Dr. Chimdi, thank you, because I know you've really made this possible even out of your busy schedule. And we are looking forward to all the resources we would be getting from you. Okay, I guess it's the 5 of us. Any other person going? Okay, big smile, please. And I would take this picture. Let's see. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful night. Thank you for staying with us and giving us your time. Till next time, I always tell the kids, keep staying safe. So till next time, keep staying safe. Bye, everyone. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.